What's going on, everyone? So, Myles Turner to the Los Angeles Lakers is really starting to gain some traction, heating up a little bit. And this is great news. Obviously, Anthony Davis is down. He's out at least a week. Wouldn't be surprised if he's not back till the All-Star game. Because remember, he's going to be reevaluated, and then you have the All-Star break like shortly after. So I imagine the Lakers are going to take their time. They're not going to rush Anthony Davis back. Last thing you want to do is rush AD back, and then he ends up getting hurt and misses the rest of the season or the playoffs or something like that. I imagine that the Lakers are going to kind of just be patient with AD, but you need a center, right? Jackson Hayes isn't going to cut it. I'd like to see more Trey Jamison. You're talking about a 6'11", 270 guy, right? You brought him in for a reason. Let's see what he can do. But the other option is to go and trade for a center. Now, we're still about a week away from the trade deadline. Hopefully, it gets done sooner rather than later. Last thing you want to do is kind of go another week or so without that. Like, are you going to be able to weather the storm long enough? Maybe, right? The Wizards, I think you'd be okay against, but you play some of these other teams, maybe the Warriors, right? Because they're undersized. But Anthony Davis, usually that's where he dominates. And those games are still close. Now, what are they going to look like without Anthony Davis, right? So if you're the Lakers, you really want to be in a good position to go get a center. Like, now would be the better time than ever to go get somebody like a Myles Turner that could slot in, give you some of what Anthony Davis provides as far as just like some scoring ability, obviously the shot blocking, and kind of mix him in. And then when AD gets back, plug AD alongside Myles Turner, and let's go start gearing up for a championship here. But you have three separate sources that have all talked about Myles Turner recently, diving into Lakers have had internal discussions to Lakers have actually reached out and have had kind of intermediary discussions with the Indiana Pacers. Nothing has came to fruition yet. Again, let's calm expectations until it happens, right? I do think it's a possibility. Lakers traded for Myles Turner before. Like, literally. It was done. Signed, sealed, delivered. Myles Turner, Buddy Hield, and Jeannie Buss was the one that vetoed that. Jeannie Buss was the one that was like, now let's see what Darvin Ham could do with Russell Westbrook. And instead, we didn't end up getting Myles Turner. Now, you're going to end up having to pay. You're probably going to have to send out both firsts to go land Myles Turner. There's a lot of talks about, because if they trade Myles Turner, they're probably going to need a center. So a lot of talks about 3-team deals with the Portland Trail Blazers, where Robert Williams ends up going to Indiana. There's talks about like Chicago and a Nikola Vucevic potentially going to Indiana. And then the Lakers ultimately, in both of those scenarios, would end up landing Myles Turner, and picks in various outcomes or whatever would go in other directions, right? Which would make some sense because, again, Jackson Hayes, like, they're not going to be like, oh, Jackson Hayes, that's the answer, right? Like, no, they need somebody that can kind of slot in and provide kind of what they're looking for at the center spot if they're going to send out a Myles Turner. The only reason that there's even talks about them potentially trading Myles Turner is because Indiana isn't sure if they want to give him that extension, want to give him the new $30 million a year that he's looking for. For a Lakers team, I think you'd have to pony up. I think you give it. But I think that actually makes sense, right? Myles Turner at $30 million. We know Myles Turner wants to be a Laker. He's talked about it in the past when he said something, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines like, if I was the Lakers, I would look to trade for me type thing, back when the rumors were swirling 2 seasons ago. And ever since then, there's always the Myles Turner talks. But want to kind of go over the actual reports and what was mentioned. This is from Anthony Irwin. This is the Anthony Irwin report. The Lakers have talked about Myles Turner internally a lot. One possible scenario is Rui Hachimura, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and 2 first-rounders for Turner. A second possible scenario is LA sending Rui, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and a first to Portland. Portland sends Robert Williams to Indiana. LA would also send a first to Indiana. This allows Portland to maintain and have a big. So basically, instead of both firsts going to Indiana, one first would go to Portland for facilitating the deal, and then one first would go to Indiana as well as Robert Williams. I've seen people talk about, like, why would you give up a first for Robert Williams? Like, no, you're giving up 2 firsts for Myles Turner, right? Wherever those firsts end up doesn't matter to you, right? Like, if you have to give up 2 firsts to go get Myles Turner, right, who cares where those firsts end up, right? Like, if at the end result, if you're giving up 2 firsts to land Myles Turner, as long as those 2 firsts go out and you land Myles Turner, who cares? All the other little semantics and stuff like that are irrelevant. But just something to kind of keep in mind. If LA pursues Turner, get to the point where they will include both first rounders, they would do so under the term that Turner would sign a new contract after the season that they are comfortable with. Until they have reached that point, they will be reluctant including both first rounders. As it stands now, LA might be open to trading one pick for Turner at least. So supposedly the Lakers are willing to trade at least one first for Turner. If Turner is willing to kind of come in and is willing to sign that new contract under a price that they're comfortable with, then they'd be willing to give up both firsts, is kind of what it seems like. What is that number for the Lakers, right? If it's like 18 million, he's probably not going to do that. He's probably going to go test free agency. If it's like 25 million, like say, hey, we don't want to give you 30 million, but we'll give you 25 million a year, right? Then maybe we could get somewhere. Maybe Turner, like, okay, like I'll meet you in the middle, right? Instead of 30, we'll do 25. Give me 4 years, 100 million, something like that. I could see something along those lines maybe getting done and the Lakers ponying up. They just want the confirmation based on this report from Myles Turner. Also, you got to keep in mind, this guy behind me, LeBron James, he could take a discount, right, and free up the full mid-level exception next season. Also maybe clear off some to where you can stomach the 30 million more. I mean, he was willing to take a discount for Valanciunas, DeMar DeRozan, and Klay Thompson. Would he be willing to do that for Myles Turner plus another piece, right? Maybe a Bruce Brown in the offseason or something like that. Just something to kind of keep in mind going forward. And then Jovan Buha talked about Lakers adding another big has become even more of a priority for the Lakers per Jovan Buha, and then talked about Walker Kessler and Myles Turner kind of being like the two best acquisitions that they could acquire, and would they pony up what is needed to go get either of those guys. Jovan is kind of more just like his opinion, his thoughts on the situation, where the other two reports from Anthony Irwin and now Brett Siegel, who has touched on this. He says, according to sources with knowledge of the situation, the Lakers have held extensive conversations about Myles Turner internally and are weighing whether it makes sense to put both first rounders they can move this trade deadline on the table for him. So it's really just kind of boiling down to how much are the Lakers willing to pony up, right? Like, if the Lakers are willing to kind of push their chips in and go all in and make the move for Myles Turner. Brett Siegel also said that the Lakers have reached out and talked to Indiana about Myles Turner. Again, just kind of like the preliminary discussions, just kind of like, intermediate discussions of like, hey, where are you at? What is your gauge? Obviously, I imagine that they would want to talk to Myles Turner and just be like, hey, where are you contract-wise? Is there any negotiation? Is there any wiggle room? Right? I would also talk to LeBron and be like, hey, if we go get Myles Turner, we don't want to be handcuffed, right? If we have to pay him $30 million, would you still kind of be inclined to maybe, if the right move is there, right? Because LeBron's just not going to take a discount, just take a discount. It's got to make sense, right? So why he didn't just take it. I mean, he did take a discount to keep you under the second apron, but he's not going to take 20 plus million and be like, yeah, sure, just for sport, right? Like, no, he's going to do it if it makes sense, right? But if you're the Lakers, you still want to at least have, hey, if we go get Myles Turner right now, we're going to have to give him 30 plus million. Fine, we'll do that. But if we can go get another piece in the offseason, Bruce Brown's an expiring, or maybe bring back Alonzo or something like that, or maybe go get two pieces, would you be willing to kind of free up so that way we can kind of make it all work and stuff? I'd at least, talk to LeBron about it and just see, like, where is he at, right? Because, like, this is your moment, right? Like, this is the, hey, we're pushing our chips in. Because if you go get Myles Turner, that's it. Like, you're focused. Like, now there's no, we're doing this, that, and the other. Like, Myles Turner, yes, is a piece that helps now and the future, right? Myles Turner's young enough to where he can be, with the Lakers the next 4 or 5 years beyond this season. And I do think is one of the ceiling raisers that could really make some sense. Still would like the Lakers to make another kind of like minor move. Could they get another piece or two to kind of like better round out depth, right? Does Myles Turner by himself, does he make the Lakers a contender, right? Maybe. I'm not saying it won't, right? I do think Myles Turner solves a lot of the Lakers' issues, his floor spacing, his defense, his rebound. He's not like an elite rebounder, but he's a guy that could help in the rebounding department alongside Anthony Davis. Have that big man pairing. You're better matched up for a Denver and these Minnesota teams, and even a team like the Cavs who are running two bigs and stuff. You kind of just match up better. Even a team like like Boston, right? Like you have these size advantage now, and you're kind of in a better position to match up against various teams. And you can throw different looks. You can throw different pieces. You can always have a Turner and an AD on the court at all times. So you have that rim protection and then just go with various looks. Have like, Dorian Finney-Smith and a Jared Vanderbilt alongside either. Like those kind of defensive units, those defensive matchups. Also, the Lakers really want to lean into the defensive side of things. Well, Myles Turner fits that, right? He leans into not only the defensive side, because it's usually one or the other. Right, you look at like a Nikola Vucevic, it's heavy offense and rebounding, or somebody like a Jakob Poeltl or like a Clint Capella or something like that, where it's like it's more defense and rebounding. But a guy in Myles Turner kind of gives you a little bit of everything. It gives you that defense, gives you a bit of rebounding, not to the level of like Vucevic or anything like that, but gives you 7-8 rebounds a game on top of a guy that go get you 15 points a game, stretch the floor, knock down the three ball on good efficiency, on good volume, right? So you're not clogging up the paint. It still allows LeBron and AD and them to operate on the interior and attack and be aggressive. I would like could you get another scorer? Right, like that would be ideal. Just you're putting so much pressure still on LeBron and AD to be, 50 to 70 points a night, or Austin Reeves has to continue to find better consistency, right? But if you can get Myles Turner, I think you have to get Myles Turner, right? If you have to pony up to two first to go make it happen, pony up to two first to make it happen. He's a guy that you're going to have for, if it was just something for like this season, right? It's just like, Myles Turner, if he was 34, right, I'd be like, absolutely not, no way. But he's young enough to where you could have him the next, 6 years. You could have him, through the new contract and then some. Even in a post-AD era, you could still have a guy in Myles Turner. His game should age well, and I think he'd be in good shape. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you love the idea of Myles Turner? Do you hate the idea of Myles Turner? Do you think Lakers should pony up the two first? You'd still have your seconds, and you'd still have pick swaps to go get other things done. So it's not like you just get Myles Turner and that's it. You could still take Gabe Vincent, package a couple other guys, because you could do something like a Rui, Jalen Hood-Schifino, go grab Myles Turner, and then you still have like Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood, and another. You could add in another guy, or maybe send Christian Wood out and keep Jalen Hood-Schifino. So then you could go with like a Gabe Vincent, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then like a vet minimum, like a Jackson Hayes or something like that, and that gets you to another, like 16, 17 million, that maybe you could go pull out, another piece or two. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. If that being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.